Barghani brothers and sisters, principle for tonight is what? Ujamaa. So when I say a Barghani, that's the call response mechanism. It simply means what's going on, what's happening, what's up in the common vernacular, and the response is Ujamaa. Habagani! 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 All right, brothers and sisters, we're going to get started tonight. We're going to start with the pledge to the red, black, and green. These are words that I coined. The Creator blessed me to write these words in 1980. Of course, we've been celebrating KWANZAA for 47 years here at the temple, but shortly after starting KWANZAA here at the temple, God gave me these words, the red, black, and green. Of course, we know these colors. Marcus Garvey made them famous. And then, of course, Kwame Nkrumah in the independence of Ghana used these colors as well. I'm going to ask everyone to stand and repeat after me. I want you to put your fist on your heart, because this is our pledge to our flag, the symbol that we share. And, of course, those three colors represent the black, representing us as black people, the green representing land, and, of course, the red, the blood that has been shed through the decades and centuries fighting for liberation and freedom for our people. Please put your fist over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the red, black, and green, our flag, the symbol of our eternal struggle, and to the land we must obtain. One nation of black people, totally united in the struggle for black love, black freedom, and black determination. Habagani! Habagani! Please remain standing. We're going to be led in the singing of our Negro National Anthem, which was written by James Weldon Johnson, a most important song that all of us should reverence. My mentor, Dr. Howard Thurman, says that when he was a student at Morehouse College, a benefactor, a philanthropist came to Morehouse, and before he would make his contribution, he wanted them to sing this song. And to a student, without any prompting, all of them, because of the value, the worth, and the meaning of this song, refused to sing. In essence, they said, you can keep your money if you want us to entertain you by singing this most important song. If you don't know it, you should know it. And of course, if you do know it, I want you to join in with us as we sing together on tonight this great song of our struggle and battle for freedom, justice, fairness, and equality in this country.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the roaring sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stormy the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, fell in the days when hope unborn had died. yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading the path through the blood and the slaughter. Out of the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the right gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light. Keep us forever in the path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our Lord, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land. Habagani! I ain't hear nobody. Habagani! Habagani! Y'all got to be stronger than that, people. We in war, and we have to have the spirit that gives us the power to fight this war that we've been in for 400 plus years in this country. Give it to me with the same energy that I give it to you. Habagani! Habagani! Please remain standing. We're going to do our libation. If you've ever been to church, and you've had communion, that is a libation. Libation, by definition, is the drinking or the pouring of a liquid in remembrance of our ancestors. When we do a libation, it is the recognition of the bifurcation of our self. We are physical, fleshly, earthly, human beings made of earth, but we're also divine, heavenly, godly, spiritual beings, because the Creator put a little bit of himself in each one of us. We are the only creatures made to resemble God, or the Creator, should you call it, and to represent the Creator in the earth, having been made in his likeness and in his image. In this bowl, we have some very significant soils. We have soils from the foot of the great pyramids of Egypt, greatest civilization, our black ancestors, to ever grace this planet. We have soil in this bowl from the Gambia in West Africa, where I was ordained as a Wolof priest in 1980. There is soil in this bowl from Ghana in West Africa, from the slave dungeons at Cape Coast and Elmina, where, of course, our ancestors were held captive before being placed on ships and shipped out to the Caribbean and South America and this America. There's soil in this bowl from Goree Island, also a slave port. And then finally there is soil in this bowl from where my ancestors were held slaves down in North Carolina. As we pour a libation tonight, it's a symbol of reawakening the spirits of those ancestors who went before us and who paved the way and made it possible for us to be here even on tonight. As I pour this libation, I want to ask you to call aloud the names of those that you would have to be remembered and call to our assistance as we go forward in the closing days of 2023, moving into 2024. Would you call those names aloud now? Maybe ancestors in your family, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles. Call those names aloud now. Yo, ba, ba, yo, 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 ba, ba. Call them, call them, call them. Yo, let us pray. Baba yetu, ulie in binguni. Jina lako litukuzwe. Ufalme wako uje. Mapenzi yako yatimizwe. Hapa duniani kama huko mbinguni. Utupe leo riziki yetu. Utumasehe deni zetu. Kama sisi nasi tuwasiwahebu wa deni yetu. Nasuetue majarabuni. Lakini lituokoe na yule mwovu. Kwa kuwa ufalme ni wako. Na nguvu na utukufu hata milele. Amina. We're going to sing these 7 principles before you take your seats. Again, we're going to do a call response mechanism. Whatever I sing, I want you to sing the same thing right back to me. Umoja.
Umoja.
Kujakalia.
Ulikalia.
Ujamaa. Put those hands together.
Ujamaa.
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 Nia.
Nia.
Kumba.
Kumba.
Imani.
Hey,
umoja.
Umoja.
Kujakalia.
Kulijakalia.
Ujimba.
Ujimba.
Ujamaa.
Ujamaa.
Nia.
Nira.
Nia.
Nira.
Nia.
Nia.
Kumba.
Kolumba.
Imani. Habaragani. You may be seated, brothers and sisters, as we share in this 4th night of Kwanzaa, as we come to share on tonight. We are a people of symbols and rituals. And of course, symbols and rituals are important to us, but they can be dangerous if we do not understand what the symbol represents. In other words, symbols represent something much deeper, much more important, much more profound than the symbol itself. And thus, when Brother Maulana Karinga established and created Kwanzaa in 1966, he created it with symbols that relate to our heritage and our history as African people. Thus, we start with the word Kwanzaa, which means first fruits. Going back into many different traditions in our culture, when the first fruit comes in, we go to Ghana in the season of harvesting of the yams. The first yams are not eaten. They are placed in a sacred place, and in special ceremonies, there is thanks to God, for the Creator, for blessing them to harvest a successful crop. So in the context of symbols having a meaning, we're talking about us being productive as a people and using these symbols and these principles that they represent to strengthen our community, to reinvigorate ourselves, to re-spiritualize ourselves, to rededicate ourselves, to renew in our minds, our hearts, and our spirits those principles that have sustained us through the ages, even in the midst of every kind of suffering and the worst kind of suffering that any human beings have ever faced on the face of this planet. So then we start with the straw mat, and I hope, and I'm going through these symbols because I don't know if everyone has ever practiced Kwanzaa, so I want to give you a picture for those who are practicing Kwanzaa for the first time. We have the straw mat, the mkeka. Everybody say mkeka. Mkeka is a straw mat. That's the foundation. We must have a foundation in order to grow and develop. We come into this world as undeveloped beings, and thus we need nurture. We need somebody to teach us. We're not like all the other creatures. All the other creatures have built-in computer software. Never seen a squirrel have to have anybody to teach them how to be a squirrel, have you? Or a rabbit. They come with built-in computer software, automatic. But for the human being, we need teachers. We need guides. We need parents. We need adults who have developed, who can instill in those who come behind. So the adults represent the foundation. Now we take an ear of corn, which we call the muhindi. Everybody say muhindi. On this corn stalk, we have, and these seeds are here kind of emulsified, but let me get another one. Every kernel on here represents our watoto, our children, our offspring. And if you take these kernels of corn and plant them into the ground, what do you get? You get some more corn. So that symbolizes the fact that with a proper foundation, properly giving to and instilling in our watoto, our children, those who come behind us, requisite attitudes, behaviors, sentiments, and beliefs, they will grow up to be tall and strong like a tall corn stalk with all kinds of ears of corn on it, and they then can pass on what has been given to them. Human beings are the only creatures that can leave a record and pass on to the next generation so that the next generation can improve. So that tells us something very important, doesn't it? Tells us that adults have failed. Because when we look at our young people today, so many of them out here like wild beasts killing one another in the streets, it's not their fault. Because the scripture says what? A tree is known by what? The fruit that it bears. So if there's something wrong with the fruit, you need to go check the trees that the fruit came from. Now, then we talk about the kinara. Everybody say kinara. Kinara, which is the candle holder. Everybody say candle holder. Then we have the mishumaa. Everybody say mishumaa. The candles representing the 7 principles of the 7 days of Kwanzaa in the 7 holding spots of the kinara in Kwanzaa celebration. We have the fruits of our labor. Let's say mazoa. Mazoa represents the fruit when we have been productive, when we have created something, when we have produced something. Our purpose is to produce something and create something while we are here on this earth. When you leave this earth, there ought to be something left behind to say you were here. If there's nothing left behind to say you were here, what? That's a life that has not fulfilled its purpose and its destiny. Then we have the zawadi. Everybody says zawadi. In Kwanzaa time, we try to give gifts that have meaning and purpose that will help our young people, our watoto, to grow and develop. You see, this book here is a copy of my latest book, The Birth of the Bible. And so we try to give gifts that have meaning and purpose. Then we have the cha kikombe. Everybody say cha kikombe. That means a cup of unity, the unity cup. And these are the basic principles that we celebrate Kwanzaa with. But they, as again, I must emphasize, symbols have meaning. And we must understand the meaning of these symbols so that as we, as a foundation, the elders feed into the minds, the hearts, and the spirits of our young people, give them the kind of understanding and knowledge about living life in a positive, productive manner. And for 7 days, you know what? Let me say this. If we really practice these principles, we could turn our community around, starting with unity and getting rid of the ego and the envy and the jealousy and the backbiting and all the hatred that we have for one another, and then determining for ourselves, determining that we're going to use the creativity that's been given to us to think for ourselves, to build for ourselves, to create for ourselves, to produce for ourselves, to do for self. And then, of course, we talk about collective work and responsibility, Ujamaa, which was our principle on last night, working together to build something in our community. Last night we talked about the many self-contained black communities that we had in this country. How many have been to Central Park in New York? We talked about the fact that Central Park was the greatest black community in the 1800s in the United States. In other words, there were more black homeowners in what is now Central Park. At that time, it was known as Seneca Village, S-E-N-E-C-A, Seneca Village. And there were more. They had their own school, their own church, their own everything. And aside from that, we mentioned last week, Tulsa, Oklahoma, was only one of over 50 independent, self-contained black communities in Oklahoma. After they had killed almost all the Native Americans, they pushed those that remained into what is known as Oklahoma, pushed blacks into Oklahoma. They intermingled, intermarried. That's why many of us have Native American blood today. But in 1899, using the Homestead Act of 1860 that said to every white person, you can have 125 acres of land free. You don't have to pay a dime, nothing. And then in 1899, they said, okay, we got all these people that are not human beings. They're just savages, talking about black folk and Native Americans. They don't have any value. And so on a date certain, you can go over into Oklahoma. Anybody like football? Did you watch the Oklahoma Sooners football game last night? Well, where did that word Sooner come from? In 1899, they said to white Americans, on a certain date, you can go over into Oklahoma. And this is what we call, this is where the word staking a claim comes from. And at that date, you can go over into Oklahoma. Forget about the fact that there are 50 plus self-contained black communities over there. Go over there and take a stick and stick it in the ground, a stake, and stick it in the ground and stake your claim. Wherever you drive your stake in the ground, that is your land. Because those people ain't human beings. They're savages. They're ignorant. They're uncivilized. They're not white. And therefore, they don't have any value. And so, but there were some who didn't wait till the date. And they hid in ravines. And they hid behind bushes on the side of Oklahoma. So when the federal government said, go, they were already over there. So we called them the Oklahoma Sooners because they went over there sooner than they were supposed to. So the next time you watch a game, there's an Oklahoma basketball or football team is playing, and they said, Oklahoma Sooners taking the field. And they drive that old wagon out there with a horse pulling the wagon. That's what they did when they went and took black folks and Native Americans' land. Columbus discovered America. Not so in terms of truth,
but so in terms of legal requirement, because white people passed the law, anybody in any place you go, in the Caribbean, in Brazil, in South America, in America, whoever you see there, they're not human beings because they're not white. They're not Christians. And so go over there and take what they have, and it's yours. And so it's very important that we understand that meaning and what it represents to all of us on tonight. All right, we're going to have our candle lighting at this time. We're going to ask those who are to lead us in our candle lighting to come at this time. All right. Let's give our dear sister a hand. She's going to lead us in our candle lighting tonight.
This evening, Habaragani. 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 And that is the principle for this evening. But first, we're going to light the black candle in the middle for Umoja, the first night. Unity. To maintain our families,
Unity in
our community, our nation, and our race. And unity. The second candle, the second night, the second principle, Kujichagulia, self-determination. To define ourselves, to name ourselves, and to speak for ourselves, and not allow others to name or speak for us. For the third night, Ujamaa, collective work and responsibility. To build and maintain our own communities and to make our brothers and our sisters' problems our problems that we can solve together. And for this evening, Ujamaa. Cooperative economics. To build and maintain our own stores, our shops, and our businesses, and to profit from them together. Habaragani. Habaragani.
Ujamaa.
Habaragani.
All right, give the sisters a hand, please. We're going to move forward. Mama Takia, let me just take a moment and make a couple of acknowledgments. First of all, our Queen Mother, Mama Takia, she has not worn her crown all week long, but she is here, 91 years strong. Give her a good, God bless you. Thank you, Mama. She said to us for this year's Kwanzaa that she wanted us to bring heirlooms, something from our families dating back in a point in time that had significance to us individually, even now, and to as a means of helping us to understand how important it is to relish that which we have and recognize the spirit and the power that resides in those things that we were given and that we still hold on to. My wife has about 15 hats that Dr. Dorothy Height gave to her. And if you don't know the history of Dr. Height participated in every civil rights protest movement from the time of the sleeping car porters all the way up to the Million Man March. She was my advisor, whom I consulted on a regular basis as the executive producer of the Million Man March. And she said to me something that is so important for all of us to know, and that is when you are developing a coalition, it matters not that you agree on everything, but you find that you do agree on and use that. And I can tell you what a struggle it was at times to pull all of the organizations. I traveled the length and breadth of this country, meeting with organizations, church leaders, denominational leaders, organizational leaders, bringing us together. And the Creator gave us a miracle. Almost 2 million black men gathered together because we were blessed for that one simple occasion. And I think the Creator allowed us to do that to show us that it can be done. Because without any incidents, we came together and overwhelmed the nation's capital in a day of peace and reconciliation. There are those who have something to share. I'm going to ask you to come at this time, please.
Habarikani. Thank you, Reverend, for having this again. Thank you all for being here. This is my great-grandmother. She lived in North Carolina. She was a seamstress by trade, and she taught her children to do the same thing. But she never made enough money to buy fabric for her own children. So, being the industrious woman that she was, she would take fabric from peanut sacks, from flour sacks, and make clothes. This is her church outfit. This is her skirt. A lot of this hand sewn. She was tiny. I don't know what happened to me. She was tiny, and you can see it's well made. It's very well made. So she taught her children how to use this skill to get ahead, to have their own, to be entrepreneurs. As a result, all of my aunts, my mother, and me, we are entrepreneurs and some hustling women. Thank you.
Good evening. What I have is a clock that belonged to my great-grandfather. The clock was made in the 1800s. My great-uncle, it was passed down to him, and when he passed away, he gave it to my father. So the story about my great-grandfather, when he was born in 1857, I think it was. So he was born under slavery. But the story is that the slave owners, her husband passed away, and she took liberty with one of the house slaves, and she had my great-grandfather. If you saw a picture of him, you'd say, yep, mm-hmm. So when he was 7 when the Civil War started, and by the time it ended, he was 12. So she left all her property to him. And so when you go in South Carolina, it's Camden, South Carolina. We were looking up my father's property, and they had the plantation listed, with all the land and whatnot. So we still have some of it. My mother was born across the road, and so we still have a lot of my grandmother's property on the other side. So we estimate it to be at least 200 years old. So we don't know whether it works or not. I have a key that you can wind it up with, and it has a pendulum, but we take it, we kind of keep it at the bottom of it. So, but I don't know whether it works. I'm scared to try and wind it, because it's so old. So, but that's part of my family history anyway. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Okay, well, we're gonna move forward here. We got a lot to share tonight. I'm going to ask, and of course, back in the Many of us know that back in the 1980s, every year we had a parade down Martin Luther King Avenue to uh, be a part of the effort to make Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday a national holiday. Um, we did it every year. One year, Stevie Wonder came, and of course, you know he wrote a special song for that effort, and he led the parade one year. But every year, we had a drill team, and every year, our drill team marched in that parade. Come rain, snow, sleet, whatever happened weather-wise, they were there. The impact that it had, and of course, our theme for this year's Kwanzaa was uh, taken from Dr. King's book that he wrote when he was at Ochos Rios in Jamaica a few months before he was assassinated. Where do we go from here? Chaos or community? As we look at the chaos in our communities today, we look at the question of, as we see the chaos, we still yet seek community. We seek to create that environment of caring and sharing, that environment where we have neighborhoods, meaning near, hood meaning a place of safety and protection, that which we do not have on today. And so I had asked, and of course through the good aegis of Sister Avis White, who first proffered the notion of bringing to the fore the work of the drill team during that era. And I said, well, we're doing this theme, and because that drill team had such an impact on the community, and it's so, the essence of it is so sorely needed even today, I said, well, Kwanzaa will be a good time to do that. We had a little brief meeting last evening before I came to Kwanzaa to make sure that everything was in place. And there's one brother who now resides in North Carolina. He could not make it here tonight, but we were on Zoom. And to all of our amazement, he held up his uniform from over 40 years ago. Not only his uniform, but his mother's uniform. Of course, the mother's the same three colors. We had red, black, and green. The youth, the Watoto, had the green uniforms with the red and the green stripe. And the adults, parents, guardians, sponsors, coordinators had the black uniforms with the green and the red. So one of the young men who was one of the leaders, and there were several who were leaders in that effort, Brother Wayne Powell, who is in Dallas, Texas, and you're going to see something that he was instrumental in putting together tonight. But there was a young man who was working in the executive office of the President of the United States. He was in the military. And there was a sister by the name of Geneva Bailey. Geneva Bailey came to me and she said, Pastor, there is a young brother that's sharper than 100 razor blades, and you need to meet him. I said, well, bring him to the temple. That person was Reverend Brother Minister Ricardo Payne, who was one of the great leaders of our drill team. And I'm going to ask him to come now. They'll let you know. Sister Avis, would you all come at this time and share? Is Brother Ricardo here? Yeah, he's here. All right. Well, I'm going to move from behind this table so I can take my seat and see everything that is to be shared. There's a mic right there.
Good afternoon, everybody. Habarigani. Habarigani.
Ujamaa.
All right, it's so good to be here this evening. I had to write things down because, it's a lot going on. So I didn't want to forget anything or anybody. So first, giving honor to God and to the pastors of this great church.
It is indeed an honor to stand here tonight to be a part of the reunion of the drill team. During the mid-'80s, it was a pleasure to serve and assist in mentoring the young brothers and sisters who now are young men and young women with their own families. Remembering some of those members who assisted in helping with the youth, Reverend Ricardo Payne, Brother Anyika Brown, my dear brother who is now with the ancestral realm. We miss you dearly, Anyika. Others that served, Brother Minister Wayne Powell, Reverend Walter Pinckney, Brother Marlon Clark, Sister Arnett Carter, Sister Jadelle McGee, Sister Diane Page, who's also transitioned, Sister Rita Daniels, Sister Gladys Schultz, and many others. Most important, Reverend Wilson's, who came up with the vision of developing the drill team. And for many of you who don't know, we've been meeting on Zoom since 2023 in October, trying to contact former members of the drill team. So when we reminisce about the good times the drill team had, we had so many laughs on the calls with the good old days that we shared. We also remember those who are no longer with us who were instrumental in being a foot soldier and assisting with the drill team, whether it was security, cooking, helping out in their own special way. And I have to name some of the elders. I can't name all of them because there were a lot of them, but Deacon Brother Jack, Brother Money Hilton, Deacon Sonny Hinkle, Sister Shirley Hinkle, Sister Dot Miles, Sister Josephine Clark, Sister Norma Perry, and there were so many more. Your legacy is alive tonight, and we thank you for your service. So, at this particular time, I would like to introduce a man who has been a friend of mine for over 40 years. We grew up at Union Temple in the early 80s. We were in our 20s, so that tells you how young we are. We learned a lot from the teachings of Reverend Wilson. Thank you, Reverend Wilson, for your teachings. And Sister Murray Wilson, thank you. And we are here, and we are all ever so grateful. If I may digress for a moment, Reverend Wilson officiated my wedding, and so did Brother Ricardo. He helped to assist. He did the wedding. Reverend Wilson did my wedding, and Reverend Ricardo officiated it. So the person that I would like to introduce to you is a no-nonsense, serious-minded, downright disciplined brother, and we know that he is. He's been a mentor to many young brothers and sisters and families in this community, and he has been helping at least the least of these for a very long time. And also, as I can remember, he's always held his head up high, no matter what the circumstances came his way. He is a great husband to Sister Murray Payne, a dedicated father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. He and Sister Murray have 7 children, 29 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. He's our brother, and he's our friend. We love and appreciate him for all that he has done to make a difference within the lives of the young brothers and sisters within the drill team and the community. Can we all stand and give him a round of applause to our dear brother, Minister Reverend Ricardo Payne.
Thank you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you. You're very kind, very generous. I thank God again for being here, seeing one more day. And then I thought you remember one of the names, Brother Lester Haster was there too. Absolutely. And Sister Mary Wilson, and Miss Virginia, Miss Dot Miles, Sister Francisco. We had everybody who was involved with the drill team. You all may have heard rumors about the drill team. Reverend Wilson was very kind with the introduction. But we had the old red brick church. We used to have a bathroom over by where they cooked the meals. And then for those brothers that didn't want to act right, I would take them to the sweat box, turn them upside down, and flush the commode with the head in there. But I was still a member of Union Temple. But I learned that from my dear pastor. Reverend Wilson ain't never been bashful about nothing. So I learned how to act. But he didn't know about that part, but he know about it tonight. But something else you didn't know, I've asked him to say it like he say, Habari Gani, and you say the theme for the night, Habari Gani? Okay. Reverend Wilson, let him know who your favorite is, sir. You can do it. Who's your favorite? I'll take that anyway. No. The drill team. It was a vision of Reverend Wilson. I've never heard of a drill team in a church on any level. And he just asked me one Sunday. He walked up to me. He said, well, brother, I hear that you're in the military. I said, yes, sir, I am. He says, well, I want you to start a drill team in the church. I said, no, he's just joking. And anybody know Reverend Wilson, he wasn't joking. So he rolled back in probably 3 weeks later, and he asked me again. And I said, well, I'm going to pray about it. I just went right over there on my knees, and I said, now, Lord, I don't know what he want me to do, but I'm going to try it. Here we are 40 years later. We had some good times. We had some difficult times. We had the church. We went to camp. Went out there and camped in the woods for a week. Yes, we did, in the tents. And we had a little cup of water about this big, that tall. That was all you bathed in. But what did we do? God allowed us to be able to teach the children discipline, respect. Respect your elders. Respect where you came from. Respect each other as people. And we drilled that into the kids over and over. And we marched, as Reverend Wilson said, we were marching up Martin Luther King Avenue before it was a holiday. We did that over and over and over again. And then different organizations were calling us to come because we took a very clear position on what we were doing. We had the men of the church behind it. We had the sisters of the church. We had organization. We did what we needed to do for our family and for our legacy. Now, what does that mean today? We have a couple young brothers. I'd like them to come up and say a word or two. I'm going to ask Brother Thomas Bell. He was the first 40 years ago to be the drill team member of the year. And then Dr. Jamil Schultz. Doesn't that sound strange? Dr. Jamil Schultz. My hair wasn't that gray at that time, but Dr. Jamil Schultz. I'm going to ask him to come up as well. And as a matter of fact, Sister Schultz was a part of what we did as well. So go ahead, sir. You go ahead.
First, giving honor to God, I want to thank.
Take your time, son.
Pastor Wilson.
Yes, sir.
Queen Mother Mary. Mama Glass Avis. Brother Ricardo.
Bless your heart,
for
son.
pouring into me the spirit and the legacy that I have today. Because at 12 years old, when I first came here, I didn't have any family. I didn't have nobody, just my father. And he came in trying to get himself together and brought me here. And Rev saw something in me, a talent, ability, as well as potential that I didn't know that was tapped. I had many days when I'd be walking the street and Rev would say, man, come on in here, watch the football game with me, get something to eat, keep me from out here in the street. And then once I got into the drill team, the discipline was tantamount to me being here today, because I would have been dead or in jail. No question about it. No question. Brother Ricardo, talk about that sweat box. We spent a little bit of time in it together.
Yes, we did.
That flushing toilet, it's real. It will change your life. It will change your life. But it also will inspire you to be better than you were. You know what I mean? And the people that poured into me, all I can say is thank you. It allowed me to be a good father, sent me away to college. Every year that I was in school was on the dean's list. Never no less than 3.5 for 4 years straight. Came home, good husband, raised my children, and I'm standing here today. Some of our compadres, some of my comrades that was in the team has transpired and left, and I'm just thankful for being a part of that and being here today. Love you guys, and I look forward to keep the legacy alive and keep moving.
Amen. 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 Thank you.
First, giving honor to God and honoring Reverend Wilson and Sister Mary Wilson, and thanking y'all again for just allowing us to come and get this small presentation of everything that the drill team had a part of in our life. I'm not going to be long, but I want to say the drill team, the impact that the drill team had on us as young men, we were the young men that y'all see today. So there is a way that we can save these children out here. We have to really believe in the God that we say we serve and stop being scared of our babies. Because they're not dumb, but they need the love, they need to feel the love, and when they feel it, they will respond. And we are the master electricians, and our children are the loose wires. And it's up to us to ground them. And if we don't get on it, these will be the very children that will come back and kill us. So I'm asking us to come together and let's pray and let's make honest and sincere prayers, not empty prayers, because Rev has always taught us faith without works is dead.
That's Bible, that's right.
So we must come together. The elders, the Reverend Ricardo, I have to, what keeps coming to my mind right now is, I have to give a shout out to Neil Nelson.
Yes, yeah.
Because Neil Nelson and our drum corps that we had
That's right.
put an impact where it was like 4 or 6 of us, and you would think we were a whole marching band.
That's correct.
And the talent that we had just in the corps that we have made the spirit and the ancestor of him continuously be in this church. I'd like to thank you, Rev. I'd like to thank you, Mary, for the words said literally and said through the speeches that y'all have given us in this church. I thank you, Mom, Greg, John Kraft. Out there, we was all young men, but we had our own separate ways, but we was one fist with many fingers, but we all came together, different thoughts, different ways we were brought up in the streets, but when we came together under this roof, under the old church roof, it was nothing but love. And it was hard love, it was tough love, but we wouldn't be here today, like Brother Thomas said, because the very people that see us now are the very people that some of y'all see them looking for on the news. And we thank God for the prayers and the blessings seen and unseen. And Brother Lester and your son Pot.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just so much. And Sister Virginia, we have so many elders, so many people that would just keep us on the right track. Sister Rita Daniels,
That's right.
Ted Daniels.
That's right.
Oh my God, it's just so many. And with the spirit of Anika, we just had so many people that had genuine love for young men and women. And be that what it may, there was a lot of women that treated us like we were their own child.
That is true.
So we did not get away with a whole lot. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful because those lessons that we learned allowed me to be on these streets and survive in a time that is so hard. And Brother Walter just came in the house. Brother Walter, you talking about a real drill sergeant. He thought we were in the Marines.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
We I mean, didn't like him coming in the sweat box.
No,
But it was definitely molding. It was definitely something that we needed to be here and have an impact on the children of today. And I'd just like to thank you, Brother Ricardo,
You're welcome, son.
for everything that you have done in our
bless you all.
lives. Habargani.
Hold on a second. We got something we got to do. We got something we got to do. One thing I'll say, I've had a lot of things happen to me in this life, but the one that I say to him every time I see him, I say, Reverend Wilson, I thank you for taking the time to help me from Little Washington, North Carolina, working in the back of field, cucumber patch, collard greens. Chicken did have feet, y'all. Pig did have ears. They did have them. Trotters, they call them. They had them, you notice, because I ate them. But Reverend Wilson took time with me. I had my own idea about things, but he sometimes was patient with me. Sometimes he wasn't patient with me, but we still had a very clear understanding that I respected him for what he did. I respect Sister Wilson. I didn't know anything about a mother and father situation. I met them here, and we've been married 46 and a half years now. 46 and a half years. But I remember I took a Reverend Wilson position. I was dealing with some things. I'm trying to feed people in our community. 30,000 meals, just going to give them to people. And then they wanted to charge me money. I told them, no, I'm not going to do it. They said, well, you need to pray about it. I said, I already thought about it. I don't have to pray about something that's wrong. That you handkerchief head. Let me catch myself. But I remember Reverend Wilson would take a position if no one else took one. He was very clear on where he stood. So thank you, Reverend Wilson, for teaching me that principle. And then now we have somebody we want to recognize. Another thing that I learned from the drill team was loyalty. And one of my best friends, and I really miss him, a lot of us miss him, was Brother Anyika Brown. Brother Anyika was on point all the time. He was there when nobody else was there. He was clear on where he was. And as I shared with his wife, I said, I remember him getting excited when I learned about KWANZAA. Remember, I have my Christmas tree now. You know I had it. I had my light bulbs and everything. Don't look at me. You got one probably at home too. But here's what I'm saying. Brother Anyika was patient with me, and I was traveling, as Reverend Wilson mentioned, with the president. I called him. I said, well, Anyika, I'm going to do KWANZAA this year. What do I do? He said, brother, I'll get you the whole setup. So he gave me the whole setup. I didn't know how to do everything. I didn't know the names, but I did that because of his loyalty. And what we want to do, as my wife's mother would say, I want to give you your flowers now. And we want Sister Brown, if you would come up, Brother Anyika, we want to give these flowers. We got Thomas and Jamil up here. We just want to thank you for allowing him to help us realize there's a reality in serving a true and living God and serving each other. So we will give her a hand. Hey, sister, don't worry. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
The drill team meant so much to him. He did a lot of work. The drill team meant a whole lot to Anyika. I was kind of on the side with, at home, that kind of thing. But I would see him week after week going out with this one here, part of his partner, and they would make sure that those children in the drill team did what they were supposed to do. They looked good, didn't they?
They sure did. Oh, absolutely.
They always looked good. And so I want to thank you for remembering him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
My children all said, no, we can't come tonight, because they knew that this was a history that they really still were processing, which I didn't get that till I stopped and talked to them. And so I told them I'd come back and tell them what was said here tonight. And so I thank you all very much for remembering him. It's so important.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ready for the video? Let me say, while they are preparing that, this drill team made history, traveling not only functioning here in the city, but all over the country. To my knowledge, I think the only drill team other outside of the Nation of Islam to participate in the drill competition at Savior's Day in the Nation of Islam. I think it was 1985? 1985. They also drilled at the National Ushers Association of America. That's the ushers of all of the churches and denominations of churches all across this country. And they traveled to St. Louis, Missouri for that, and then they traveled to Chicago for the Savior's Day. Do we have the video?
Family. Boy, I wish I was there with you all. You know, when I reflect historically on what the drill team meant to our community, I can still see the young Watoto's contribution to changing history by marching in the snow each year to make Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday a national holiday. I can also reflect on the time that we made history by being the first and perhaps the only Christ-centered drill team to march at the Nation of Islam's Savior's Day in Chicago. But for me personally, there was an incident that happened when the drill team was invited by our very own usher, Frida Alston, to march at the National Ushers Convention there in St. Louis. It was a parent by the name of Mr. Davis who suffered a heart attack. I remember kids knocking on my door saying, Brother Wayne, something's wrong with Mr. Davis, something wrong with Mr. Davis. And as I rushed in, I saw Mr. Davis lying on the floor, unconscious and not breathing. So I immediately began to perform CPR until the rescue squad got there and took him to the hospital. And I understand he stayed in a coma for about a week. Although he passed away 2 years later, we can't help but to thank Almighty God for the opportunity to have him to come join us there for that event. We believe it's because of that, because of him being with the drill team during that time, it added 2 more years to his life. What deep, awesome memories. Drill team forever. Harambe, let's pull together.
Need some help, y'all. Can't do it alone.
The greatest opportunity that I had was working with the Union Temple Cobra drill team. And I guess I was like the drill sergeant, but it was a blessed opportunity for me to work with these young brothers, and a lot of them have gone on to have families of their own and become mentors of other young men, and some that I know that are football coaches and what have you. But that's one of the greatest moments that I had in life, was to be able to instill some discipline and some love in these young brothers, and now to see them today with their own families and doing the same. Abar Ghana and Happy Kwanzaa.
We was talking about community and how the drill team impacted me and my family. Me personally, it allowed me many opportunities, not only to be the Unifest Parade Committee director, for lack of a better word right now, but a great word, that took me into being the parade coordinator for Congress Heights a few years, Martin Luther King Parade, yes, under the leadership of Marion Barry. It took me to the downtown JCs. It took me into Philadelphia. It took me into New Jersey. All of this from being a part of a community. When you reach out, I salute us. I am Cobra.
You preach.
Knowing what it's like coming up through the ranks to be a team leader, as well as a individual that's strong enough to be aligned with God to be able to walk by myself. That's what I've gotten from the drill team, especially in times when I was alone and in college and on a platform that the drill team has allowed me to propel from, and our friends and colleagues. You know, I want to just pay respect to our soldiers and comrades that we left, as well as our ancestors that poured into us, you know, that have, you know, transcended, but it also still speaks to us to this day. I can't wait to see us on the anniversary, and I'm so grateful that I'm able to be a part of it, still alive. You know, you guys have a great day. I'll see you on KWANZAA, December 29th. Peace and love.
To the red, black, and green. Our flag. The symbol of our eternal struggles. And to the land. We must obtain. One nation. Of black people. Totally united. In the struggle. For black love. Black freedom. And black self-determination. God is in me. With me. Through me. And for me. And where God is, there can be no imperfection.
Get up, black people. Black people, get up. Nobody else is going to fill our cup.
Lift every voice and sing.
To earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty.
Get up, black people, get up. Nobody else is going to fill our cup.
Let our rejoicings rise.
Dr. King showed the way, but we let him down.
High as the listening skies.
And we won't do the same this time around.
Let it resound.
Get up, black people, get up.
Loud as the rolling seas.
Nobody else is going to fill our cup.
Yeah. Come on, y'all, give them a great hand. That's a lot of history right there. It's a lot of history right there. We got two more things to do tonight that's going to be very, very important to us. Let me just say that we have our quilt making ministry that has been in existence for, I guess, probably another 40 years or so. We know the history of the quilt making, and I asked them to do something briefly in the context of this theme of community, seeing seeking community. And that whole quilt making process during the era of the Underground Railroad was most instrumental. Our ancestors saw community and they worked that community even in the midst of chaos. And they're going to share shortly. And then we have back with us tonight, didn't finish his presentation on last evening, Brother Tony Browder. Give him a hand. Very shortly we will hear from him. But we want to receive our offering at this time. I want to ask everyone to get a $5 offering. We have expenses to be met every week, every night of Kwanzaa. And I'm going to ask that you would get a $5 offering in your hand. As we move forward, one of the things that I mentioned and I have been talking about during this week is the power of the word. And of course, when we look at the tree of life of ancient black Egypt, one of the things that in that tree of life, which dealt with the process of creation by the Creator, and very much that creation story, if you read the pyramid text out of ancient black Egypt and look at Genesis, the first chapter, you will see the copy verbatim out of the pyramid text of ancient black Egypt recorded again in the book of Genesis. If you know that history, you know that it was in the 3rd century when Hellenistic Jews, Greek Jews, went down into black Egypt, and by their own words, they say they translated. Now, we know when somebody translates, they take one language and put it in another language. Now, that process of word and the power of word in creation, that word in Egypt was called the Hekau, K-E-H-E-K-A-U, that the Creator spoke into existence everything that exists. That's what we read in the book of Genesis that was translated out of the pyramid text of ancient black Egypt 4,000 years ago. So that us as beings in the image and likeness of the Creator, we share in that process of the ability to use the words out of our mouth and create that which we speak out of our mouths. In Africa, it is also known as the nomo. Essentially, Proverbs 18:21 tells us that the power of life and death is in the tongue. I want you to stand with that $5 offering in your hands at this time. We're going to make an affirmation. We got 3 days before, if we are blessed to be here, to move into a new year. And I want you to speak power into your own life in as much as you are in the very image and the likeness of the Creator, which means that you share in the attributes of the Creator. You are able to do and to be and to say, and according to what you say out of your mouth and back it with belief, it shall be. I want you to make this affirmation. Get that $5 offering in your hand at this time as we move quickly. Shout out after me: success, wealth, health, prosperity will be mine in 2024. Come on, say it again. Success, wealth, health, prosperity will be mine in 2024. Now we're going to say it one more time, but I'm going to let you know that your subconscious mind, you can catalyze it by speaking with emotion. I remember seeing a man whose father was being crushed. He had jacked up his car, old 1956 Cadillac, and people were gathering around, and they said in their own minds they couldn't move that car. That man came, and at a point of excitement, he catalyzed his subconscious mind, which is where the power is within you. And because he catalyzed his subconscious mind with emotion, he went and lifted up the front end of that car so that people could remove his father from under the car that was crushing him. Now, 15 minutes later, he would not have been able to do that because his mind would have returned to its ordinary state. But because in a height of emotion, he was able to generate a power that one would not ordinarily have. So I'm going to ask you to say this one more time, but I want you to catalyze it with some energy, with some vim and vigor and vitality as you shout out these words, holding that offering in your hand. And let's see what happens in 2024. Come on and shout after me. Success, wealth, health, prosperity are mine in 2024. Put your hands together one good time with that $5 in between it. And come on up and make your offering at this time, please. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, yeah, I'm gonna let it, oh, let it, oh, let it, oh, let it shine. In my community, in my community, I'm gonna let it. Oh, in my community, oh, I'm gonna, oh, let it, oh, let it, oh, let it. Even in my home, even in my home, oh, I'm gonna, yeah, even, yeah, I'm gonna, oh, even, oh, I'm gonna let it, oh, let it, oh, let it, oh, let it now. In 2024, 2024, oh, I'm gonna let it. 7 principles. 2024, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, 2020, 24, I'm gonna, oh, let it, oh, let it, oh, let it shine. Habangani! Bargani! 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 Yes. All right, where are they? All right, members of the drill team that are here, let me see you. If you were one of the adults who work with the drill team, if you were a member of the drill team, come on up so they can see you. Come on up so they can see you. They can't see you back there. These are the history makers, brothers and sisters. Look. Look at here. Yeah, they did grow up, didn't they? Yeah. They taking pictures back there. Stand right where you are so they can get these pictures. And then we're going to move on and bring our brother on. Oh, I got to cut these candles out because they about gone. All right, someone else? Wake up, black people, wake up. Nobody else going to fill our cup. All right, give them a hand, brothers and sisters. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you.
I know. I thought you were going to say it, but you did. That's okay.
All right. I'm going to say it. All right. Family, we are ready now to hear from our dear brother, Tony Browder. Started his presentation on last night, and he's here to complete it tonight. But before he comes, I'm going to ask his daughter to come. Would you just come up for a moment? I got something for you. Have something for you. You can just stand right there. My wife makes arm charms, and By Lulu is her name. And this is one of those arm charms, but they have two special symbols on it. And if you allow me to take it out of the case, it has the Hamas on it and the tree of life. The Hamas is an open hand. In Islam, it represents the hand of Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad. May peace be upon him. When the hand is raised in this fashion, as it is on this feast, it is a symbol of warding off evil so that evil cannot come upon the individual. It's the evil eye, so to speak. In Judaism, it is the hand of Miriam, who is the sister of Moses in the scriptures. And then the other is the tree of life, which I have talked about on several occasions during the week. And the tree of life dealing with the creation and how everything came into existence, and that then us in the image and the likeness of the Creator, we have that same ability. There are 12 fears in the tree of life. One of them is imagination. And I imagine for you, with this life that you carry, that it will be a precious life filled with the Spirit that comes from knowing that you are protected by the hand of Fatima and the hand of Miriam with this Hamas, and also the tree of life, which gives you power and ability to exercise those same abilities that were in the Creator. So I wanted to present this to you. I wasn't able to make it to your shower a few weeks ago. Wanted to get there, but couldn't get there. And what did I do at this top? Oh, it's under it. Can you put it? Take it. You can put it on if you like it. It's some information on the inside there as well as a cover for it. Thank you. Bless you. Give her a hand. She ain't got long before. You know, I think when Tony started coming here, she had just written her first book. I think she was, what, 8 years old? 8 years old when she wrote that first book. I have it on my shelf in my office, right in there, or in what used to be my office here. It ain't on that shelf no more. It's gone. It's in my shelf at home. All right, family, let us stand and receive this great man, a man that I love greatly, admire him, excellence and greatness in our midst. As an Egyptologist, the only black man that you can name who has exhumed and excavated a tomb in Egypt. Put your hands together, family, and receive our dear brother, Tony Browder.
What a difference the day makes, huh? Thank you, I will. Reverend Wilson, thank you all so much for this sacred space. Thank you all so much for the love that you have showered upon this city and upon this community, and I love you all to life. Let me just talk briefly about yesterday and then do what I'm here to do today. Yesterday I was speaking, and for those of you all who were here or those of you who all saw it on the video, I had a shock. I just got a defibrillator put in Monday before last on the 18th. And I was talking, getting into my talk, received a shock, and then another one, and then another one, and I was asked to take a seat. And so my first thought was that, you know, this device that I just got implanted just 10 days ago is not calibrated to my energy because I felt good. I knew that there was nothing wrong with me. Paramedics took me to Howard, they tested me, and I was feeling good, and I knew I didn't need to be hospitalized. Talked to the doctor and said, "Doc, I'm fine, and I'm ready for you to sign me out." Went home, had a meal, went to bed, and Damien mentioned it to me last night, and a couple of other people mentioned to me that they noticed that as I moved the microphone, that initiated the shock. And so my thinking was that it was the microphone that triggered this device that's planted here in my chest. So I wrote a note to my doctor, mentioned what happened. They called me this afternoon and said, "No, it's not the microphone. This device is insulated such that the microphone would not trigger it." But they wanted me to come in and ran some tests. They ran some tests, and they said that that device did not go off one time, 2 times, or 3 times. It went off 4 times. And that my AFib, I have AFib, right? And it was all over the place. And that it was calibrated too low for my energy. And so I'm here talking, and you know when you talk, the adrenaline gets flowing, and your heart starts beating faster, and this device was not calibrated to the tempo of my heart. So I knew I felt okay, but this device didn't know me. So they recalibrated it this afternoon and took the numbers up, right? Because the doctors looked at my numbers, and he said, "Okay, we're going to have to take this up a whole lot." And it shocked you how many times? Well, you said it was 4 times. I felt it. What did it feel like? Didn't feel that much. I was just shocked by getting the shock, right? It didn't hurt. And the doctor looked at me, "It didn't hurt." No, it didn't hurt. So my thing is, Reverend Wilson talked about the word and the power of the word. I believe in keeping my word. I'm a man of my word. And I've been coming here to do Kwanzaa since 1968. And if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. My word is my bond. So I called Reverend Wilson this morning, told him I was feeling better, told him that if I got the approval of my doctor, my cardiologist, and my other doctor, my daughter, if they said that I can come back, is it all right if I come back and finish my presentation? He said, "Yes, of course." So I asked my cardiologist, I said, "Well, my numbers are good. Can I go back and finish my presentation?" He said, "That's what you're supposed to do. We want you to go on with your life." So in the 14 years that I've spent excavating tombs in Egypt, I spent a lot of time around the dead. These tombs are 2,700 years old. And what I've come to know, not believe, not think, but what I've come to know is what they knew. They knew that there is no death. They knew that there is this thing which they refer to as the Rahimi Mesu, the repetition of the birth. They knew that we come back. And the quality of life that we experience when we come back is based on the quality of life that we lived before. So you do right, not just because it's righteousness to be right, but because your life will be better when you come back because of what you did before. That's real. Some folk call it karma. I call it ma'at. Reciprocity, balance, order, truth, justice, all of these things that identify who we are as African people. So because of my time spent in this house of life, it's not a cemetery, it's a house of life. I don't fear death. I have no fear of death. And because I don't fear death, I don't fear life either. I'm not going to be restricted by thoughts of what I can't do. I want to get back up here and do this thing, not just so that you all can see that I'm all right, so that I can prove to myself I'm all right. Am I all right? I'm all right. All right. So last night, I was talking about the theme of Dr. King's book, written in June of 1967, 10 months before he was assassinated, Chaos or Community. And I mentioned that that's dichotomous logic. Chaos or community, up or down, black or white, truth or lie, you know. But life is not dichotomous. It's chaos and community and everything in between. Or as Donny Hathaway would say, everything is everything. It's all happening right now. And when you know that, you think differently because your mind is not restricted to this thing right here. It could be this thing, it could be this. It could be all of that. What do you want it to be? It's your life, it's your mind, it's your option, it's your choice. So whoever determines your mind, whoever determines your options, determines you and everything that you do. So we have an obligation and a responsibility to know who we are and to build on that knowledge and to pass the knowledge on to the generations who come behind us so that they can be whatever it is they perceive themselves capable of being. That's where the power is. That's where the community is. That's what obliterates the chaos. We have that power. We've always had that power. Reverend Wilson mentioned that on one of the days of KWANZAA, they took the children down to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. An incredible edifice that depicts the history, the struggles of an incredible people who built phenomenal communities out of chaos for hundreds and hundreds of years. And I remember when I first went to that museum, I appreciated its architectural structure. I'm into architecture, I'm into design, I'm into art, I'm into those things. And when I went to the lower level of the museum is designed where you have 5 levels underground, which are the history galleries, and 4 levels above ground, right? The 3rd level is the community gallery. The 4th level is the culture gallery. So it's the National Museum of African American History and Culture. But what struck me when I went 5 levels below the ground into the history portion was that you step out of that elevator into a darkened space with a low-level ceiling that's designed to make you feel claustrophobic. That space represents the Ma'afa, the slave ships that our ancestors were carried on across the sea. And as I'm walking through that space, I do what I often do. I'm watching people and how they respond in certain spaces. I'm ear hustling. I'm listening to their conversations. And 2 things struck me mightily. I saw 2 elderly sisters walking through that darkened space, holding on to each other for dear life. They were afraid. And I realized that they were afraid because they had never been taught about the Ma'afa. They didn't know about this. And so now they're suddenly being immersed into this space, And it frightened them as it would frighten anybody. I noticed two elderly brothers walking through this space. And I saw one brother walking with his jaws tight and his fists clenched. And I heard him say to his companion, I got to get out of here before I kill some white person. And I realized that he too was not taught about our history and our struggle. So they were internalizing the pain, the fear, the sadness. And I realized that's a very unfair thing to do. To just drop people off in this space and expose them to this psychological terror, emotional terror, without preparing them for this space. And I thought about the words of Asa Hilliard, my dear brother, my Jegna, my historical father figure. Asa Hilliard was a brilliant psychologist, and he said, whatever you do, don't allow them to begin our story in slavery. I thought about John Henry Clark, another brilliant mind who was a grandfather figure to me. And Dr. Clark said, as long as you begin your history in slavery, everything since then looks like progress. So this is intentional. Beginning our story at the bottom and thinking that we made something simply because we can sell some records, we can dance, and we can make some movies. That ain't progress if the rest of your people are still struggling, dying on the streets, unhealthy, in poverty. That ain't progress. And so I said, instead of getting angry, I said, I got to do something about this. And so I decided to do for John Henry Clark what I had done for Asa Hilliard. Asa Hilliard passed on August the 13th, 2007, in Cairo, Egypt, in a hospital. He had fallen sick on the 6th of August after giving the opening keynote address at the ASCAC conference. And when I was listening to Brother Bay on WPFW that morning, and I heard Brother Bay say, we dedicate this program to Asa Hilliard, who has outrun us to become an ancestor. I said, wait a minute, I just saw Asa a week ago. What do you mean he's an ancestor? I made some calls and I found out that Asa had passed that morning. And I cried like a baby. So as I'm dealing with the loss of somebody who meant the world to me, I'm figuring out how can I resolve this loss? And on an occasion, a year later, I'm in Egypt, and I'm introduced to a woman who had 2 years prior begun excavating a 25th dynasty tomb in Egypt. Now, the 25th dynasty in Egypt is the dynasty that contemporary Egyptologists refer to as the Negro dynasty. There are 30 dynasties in Egypt, but the 25th dynasty was comprised of Africans from Kush, modern-day Sudan, who came into Kemet and restored the entire nation. 25th dynasty. So if you say the 25th dynasty is the Negro dynasty, the Black dynasty, that means that all the other 29 dynasties were what? White. That's a lie. And so here's a woman, a white woman, who had committed her life to finding these tombs. And she took me through this partially excavated tomb and showed me what she had found, told me her story, and told me that she had run out of money, right? And as I'm walking through this space, I could hear Asa in one ear saying, Tony, you need to do something about this. I could hear Dr. Clark in the other ear saying, you know, we prepared you for this moment. What you gonna do? And I said, well, look, we'll raise some money and we'll make sure that this work continues. So the Asa Restoration Project was named in honor of Asa G. Hilliard so that I could use his death to create life, to restore these 25th dynasty tombs. So 14 years ago, we started off with 3 tombs. As of last month, we got over 43 tombs. We have found something that was hidden in the sand, waiting for us to bring back to life. And what I now know beyond a shadow of a doubt is that every time we find a tomb and recover the name of the occupant of that tomb and speak their name, they live again. Those ancestors live again. And so the key to creating community out of all of the chaos that we will experience throughout all of our lives is to know that we ain't doing it by ourselves, that the ancestors have our back, that they have always had our back. And it's by remembering the ancestors and calling their names that they're able to come and manifest themselves through you. They empower you. They work through you to do their best work. So I've come to know. I've come to understand. I've come to be prepared to dedicate my life to this message that it is ancestral intelligence that is the only AI that we need to be concerned about. All right? And when we know that, when we call on their ancestors, nobody can stop us from doing anything we put our minds to. And our oppressors know that. I'm going to keep it down. I hear you, Sharon. I'm going to keep it down. I'm good. I'm good. Our oppressors know that. That's why they don't want to teach our history. Fine. They shouldn't be teaching our history. What people on the planet, what conscious people on the planet allows their oppressor to teach their children? Nobody. We have an obligation and a responsibility to teach our children, to teach our grandchildren. Keep it down, to keep our great-grandchildren. Because what we know, if you understand the process, what you know is that every child that comes into this world is an ancestor reborn. Huh? There's power. There is dignity in bringing life into the world and nurturing that life, animating that soul that has come back into a new body that you are preparing to rule the world again. That's what this whole thing is about. And when you know that, when you live that, when you're willing to die for that, there's nothing that you cannot do. So, because of what I saw and felt walking through the National Museum of African American History and Culture, because of it's a phenomenal building, an incredible building, as I said, but it has certain shortcomings. It says nothing about who we were before we were enslaved. So I'm going to change that. We got a special project that we plan to unveil in August of this year called the John Henry Clark Enhanced History Project. And what we are going to do, using the space at the Thurgood Marshall Center where our offices are on the second floor, we got 400 square feet of wall space. And we're going to put up a permanent exhibition that will serve as a space that we are encouraging people to visit before they go to the National Museum of African American History and Culture, so they can see who we were, what we've done, and what we have the capacity to do. And the cornerstone of that exhibition is a mural, 25-foot-long mural that documents 8,000 years of African excellence and success. I conceived of the mural, hired my good friend, Free Benjamin. Y'all know Free Benjamin? Y'all know Free Benjamin, a heck of an artist. And she designed this piece and put it together. And what I wanted to show you all last night, what I'm going to show you all tonight, is a reproduction of that mural. So in order to do that, I need 5 brothers to come up here. Damien is one, Michael is one, and 3 others. Damien on one side, Michael on the other side, and 3 brothers in between. So Damien, stay right there. Stay right there, right near Reverend Wilson. Michael, I want you to stand right here, and I need 3 brothers in between. Just Michael's right here by the bucket, 3 brothers in between. Space yourselves out evenly. And Michael, hold this. And get a little bit closer, get a little bit closer. Yeah, get a little bit closer. So we can hold it up straight. And hold it straight, please. Make sure you're straight. Make sure it's straight, Danny. Hold it straight. I want a straight line. Look at it. So this mural depicts 8,000 years of African success and excellence going all the way back to the Nile Valley. All the way back to the Nile Valley, to the beginning of documented history and culture. So we see here symbol. I'm not going to go into all the symbolism, but we have the constellation of Sahu, known as Orion, which represents Asar, the first person in recorded history who died and was resurrected. We have the mirror, the structures that the Greeks call the pyramid. Pyramid is a Greek word which means little flat cake. Pyramids are not tombs. Mir is the African word which means the place of resurrection. Mir, the place of resurrection. So mir were placed over tombs in order to facilitate the resurrection or the ascension of the soul into heaven, into this constellation of Sahu, where all souls go to be reborn. This is 8,000 years of documented history. And here is the Tekken, which the Greeks call the obelisk, which is the oldest symbol in the world of resurrection. Resurrection of Asar. Here is Ma'at, the symbol of Ma'at, this feminine force, feminine consciousness, which represents balance and harmony and order and truth and justice and reciprocity. But Ma'at is more than that. She represents the cosmos. She represents the multiverse. She is the source from which everything comes. And here we have Ipet Sut, known as Karnak Temple, the oldest and largest university temple complex in the world. And this is where African men and women perfected their minds and developed social systems, scientific systems, philosophical systems, which still govern the universe. And then here we see the Kushite mirror. Do you know that there are more mirror or pyramids in Kush than there are in Kemet, Egypt? There's over 400 in Kush and only 118 in Kemet. They don't teach you that in school. And then we have here the Olmec head. It was Dr. Ivan Van Sertima who taught us about the Olmec in his book, They Came Before Columbus, the African Presence in America. He documented Africans who lived in the Nile Valley, built ships, traveled to the Americas 2,700 years before Christopher Columbus' mama was born. And that these Africans came out of Kush, specifically the Nile Valley, and he provided all that documentation. And then we have here this migration of something that we've just recently discovered, because in one of these 25th dynasty tombs, I found painted on the ceiling the heart-shaped Sankofa symbol. In the Nile Valley, before there was a Ghana. That then opens our minds to the reality that there was a migration of African people and African knowledge from the Nile to the Niger. And they brought their knowledge from the east to the west and jump-started civilization on the west coast of Africa. So we see that in mirror-like structures in Mali, in Senegal, Gambia, and the Ivory Coast. Then comes the Ma'afa. Here is the Ma'afa. It's not the beginning. It comes way after thousands of years of African excellence. That's our story. And here are our ancestors. brought on those floating dungeons, built the United States, built Mexico, built Cuba, Jamaica, Trinidad, Guyana, Brazil. Our ancestors, labor, created all of this. And folk want us to forget, huh? Or they want to say all we were was slaves. And these ancestors, the memory of these ancestors are now in this great repository of knowledge known as the National Museum of African American History and Culture. They have artifacts of the descendants of Africans in that building. And what I want you all to understand about these artifacts, everything that a person has worn, the houses that they lived in, the staffs that they used, the Bibles that they used, contain their energy, contains their spirit. So I want you to process this. This building is more than a museum. It's a shrine. It's a shrine. And inside of this shrine is the energy of all these ancestors who are waiting for you to remember them and to call their names so that they can come to you and empower you to create communities out of chaos. That's our solution. That's our answer, and we have it right in our hands. So here you see ancestors rising out of this shrine, rising out of this shrine on the banks of the Potomac River. We got a field trip called Egypt on the Potomac. Egypt is on the Potomac. Why do you think this monument is built in such a fashion that no building in this city is allowed to be taller than it? This is not Washington's monument, it's a SARS monument. And once we know that, once we act on that, once we speak on that, we change everything around us. That's the power that we have in our hands as we move into 2024. All right? And then we have, on the other side of the Tekken, the symbol of ancestral resurrection is our beloved brother Ah, like Gabriel blowing his horn, calling these ancestors back to life, right? That's the time that we are living in right now. How are you going to use this time? Ancestors got your back. So there's a poem that I wrote in the Browder File that I have revised, and it's called Transition 14, The Asset Principle. And I'll close with these words. In the beginning, our ancestors knew not, and they studied. For 4,000 years, they learned all there was to know, and they taught others. Then came the Ma'afa, the great disaster. Enslavers made it illegal for Africans to read and write. They were forced to forget all that they had learned and taught, and after 400 years of forgetting, they forgot that they had forgotten. Well, that changes today, because I will read for them. I will write for them. I will think for them. I will speak for them, because you, all of you are the vessels through which those ancestors think, live, breathe, and do their best work. So they're just waiting on us to tap into that ancestral intelligence, invite them to come on down, right? So that they can work through us and make the world right again. So Reverend Wilson, this is my gift to you and Union Temple Baptist Church. Thank you all very much.
Come on. Give him a great hand.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. You're welcome.
All right. Another hand for that, y'all. Yes. I've said that many times, what he said about starting our history in slavery, which
ordinarily leads us to a dead end in terms of not knowing really what we need to do, for one. So we thank Brother Tony Browder. Give him one more hand, please. What we want to do, we're about ready to close out. We want to recognize our vendors who are here and let them share what the wares that they have so that you can go downstairs before you leave or in the foyer, wherever they have their items. Okay. Here, roll it up for me, please. Thank you. Do we have vendors over there? Yes. Okay. Give him a mic, Brother James. There we go. Oh, man. The hand dancers are waiting, Pastor, too. Okay, we'll do this first, and then we'll do that.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Fallon. I'm the owner of House of Adonis Blue. I have been a healer for many, many lifetimes, and I'm here again to do that same work. I work with crystal, herbs, spices, and God's energy to heal and put that healing in everything that I create, whether it's jewelry, oils, mist protection oil, things like that. I have all that at the table. If anybody wants to know more about crystals and how they can heal, how they can support you, let me know. Come see me. House of Adonis Blue. Thank you.
One love. Habargani. Ujamaa. Well, One Love and Wellness, I'm Precious Mother Love. My company's name is Love Plus Art Equals Wellness. I've been through many years of needing to heal myself, learning about healing, learning these tools that I have now become a master of. We are electronic beings, and I have some tools that help us to break the switches. Thank you. And give us, these are primordial swirls that I have on. To the right or going out is electricity, and coming in is magnetism, or I might have them reversed. I think I just said that incorrect. So going out is electricity, coming in is magnetism. I think I said it the same way. Either the cases, I help you to balance your energies. I help you to blend and harmonize your mind, your body, and your spirit. I have crystals, I have African artifacts, but I wanted to say one quick thing. My grandmother told me that my grandfather's family grew up over here on W Street, and I wanted to talk about my grandfather very quickly, and it just dawned on me, I was thinking, oh yeah, my grandfather grew up over this way. The Patterson family, I don't know if any guys know that, but my grandfather was Ike and Tina Turner's manager until he passed. Tina Turner said the eulogy. My grandfather was also the owner of Wings and Wings, Wings and Things, Wings and More Wings, one of the first places where mambo sauce was. My grandmother used to fix all those sauces and stuff, right? So I grew up on all those sauces. But that came back to mind this evening when I heard somebody else talking about their family and some things that they, I was like, you know what, I think I'm in the bosom of my family's energy right now, but some of my uncles went on to be, one of his brothers went on to be superintendent of schools in Baltimore, in Richmond, in Seattle, and in a few other places. Some other of his brothers have schools named after them. They have, one of my uncle's sons was the assistant district attorney in Maryland. So we have some rich soil over here in Anacostia. I really feel the richness of the depth of the blood that's in the soil over here. So I want to thank you for allowing me to have an opportunity to open up to the spirit of what's available in this area, because it's really touched me. So if you have a chance, check me out on Facebook or YouTube. But come down and see me, and let's chat a bit about what's going on with you. And if I can help, I would love to be able to do that. I also do ionic foot detoxes. So if you want to start off your new year and you want to cleanse your energy and you want to detox, I can make an appointment for you to do that as well. Love plus art equals wellness. I'm Precious Mother Love. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. such a rich, rich environment. It's a place of healing. It's a place of restoration. And I just feel the presence of God moving from heart to heart, breast to breast, and just doing a work. You know, God will do a work while you're sitting there and not realizing it. But the Bible says to cast your cares upon God because God cares for us. And so I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful for where God has brought me from. I am a stroke survivor 8.5 years ago. No, excuse me, almost 8 years ago, I think it is. I'm going to have my stroke anniversary on January 15th. It was January 15th, 2015, when I had a debilitating stroke. The worst stroke you could have. It was a hemorrhagic stroke where there's bleeding on the brain, but I'm just here to tell you, as not just a survivor, but as a thriver. And in my recovery in intensive care, which I spent about 7 or 8 days in intensive care, my daughter came and put a stone in my hand. She put a citrine stone in my hand, and because of the paralysis, I kept that stone in my hand, and the next day she came, and it was still in my hand because of the grasp of my hand. And I kept that stone with me, and then I went to rehab and spent another 20, 30 days in rehab. And I kept the stone with me, and I started thinking and doing light research because my brain had not truly come back together by that time. And I knew there was significance in the stones, in the energies, and I think the past two presenters have talked about that there are energies because God created the world. God created the earth long before we were here, long after we will be here. The energies that God has put into the earthly energies will always be here. And so I realized that there was a certain kind of energy in those stones. And I thought about, well, I don't want to walk around holding the stones all day. And then I thought of the word arm charms and the name Arm Charms by Lulu. I'm Lulu. I used to be Reverend Mary L. Wilson, but you know, that name is okay. But my nickname is Lulu. And so I have Arm Charms by Lulu. If you stop at my table, I have different stones, energies, olive wood from the Holy Land, and I encourage you to support all of these vendors who have the energies of stones, not just the stones, but the oils, and you will hear chatter in the atmosphere, negative chatter, when people talk about stones and they talk about energies and all that. I want you to ignore that because people are ignorant when it comes to understanding that the things that God put on the earth are for our healing, they're for our benefit. So I do currently have on an amethyst, and I have on rutilated quartz on one arm, and then I have olive wood, and I also have tiger eye. But there's many things back at my table. Also, I was blessed to be a co-author of a book, Faith Through Fiery Trials, talking about many of the trials, one specific trial that I've been through, and many of the other authors are talking about the trials, and the most important part of the trials is the triumph, you know. And I think if you were here last night and you see Brother Tony Browder tonight, you can see that there has been triumph after the trials. So I'm so grateful and thankful that God has demonstrated in his most magnificent way. If you doubted what God can do, I'm telling you, you need to look around you and see the blessings and the miracles. So stop by our table, stop by all these tables and support us because truly we are doing God's work. God bless you. Thank you.
Family, let's not forget the vendors as we close. Before we close, we have one more piece tonight, and that is a hand dance group. Are they ready? Are they ready?
Okay. Everything that we have done and tried to do during this week has been to speak to those things that help to bring us together as community. And in various sundry ways, this hand dancing has done just that. I'm going to ask them to come at this time. Can you give them a hand, please? And
Happy Kwanzaa. I'm Beverly Lindsay Johnson of the National Hand Dance Association and a local historian on hand dance. And I would like to thank that we were invited back for the second time for the Kwanzaa celebration here at Union Temple with Reverend Wilson. And we're just happy to be here. The National Hand Dance Association has been asked to share how hand dance was created and how hand dance has inspired the community. And afterwards, the National Hand Dance Association's classic hand dancers will showcase various old school hand dance styles. And we get to engage you, the audience, in doing a few freestyle dances of the 1960s. So that's going to be so much fun. So culture can be defined as all the behaviors, arts, beliefs, and institutions of a population that are passed down from generation to generation. Culture has been called the way of life for an entire society. Hand dance is an improvisational form of swing-style partner dance developed in Washington, D.C. in the late 1940s by African Americans as a form of recreation and entertainment. Today, hand dance is the official dance of the District of Columbia by resolution of the D.C. Council. So let's give the D.C. Council a round of applause because this is the official dance of D.C., just like go-go is the official music of D.C. In the 1950s, the dance was called jitterbug. And dance halls and arenas in D.C. where the best dancers honed their dance skills. Some venues were Turner's Arena, the Lincoln Colonnade, and the Uline Arena, and many, many other dance halls. In the 1960s, the dance became known as fast dancing. Later in the 1980s decade, as freestyle dancing swept the nation, the dance was no longer the dance of that generation. However, the previous generation continued to fast dance, hand dance, thereby creating a social dance subculture. These dancers continue to keep oldies but goodies music and fast dance, hand dance alive. That's called community. Today, hand dance is as popular as ever as hand dance. That's community. Today, young people are experiencing the excitement of this dance as they fuse it with hip-hop, movement, and music, moving into a new evolution and new generation of hand dance. The National Hand Dance Association is committed to bring young people into the hand dance community through sponsorships of lessons and youth dances. It's called community. Now it's time for our hand dance showcase. This is about old school classic hand dance. And I'd like to bring to the floor Members of the National Hand Dance Association Classic Hand Dancers, Leroy Green, who is a member of Union Temple, and Adrian Poteet, Marty Hawkins, and Maxine Grant. And our first hand dance style is the old school classic hand dance. In celebration of Kwanzaa, the group will dance to the song Happy Kwanzaa by Teddy Pendergrass. We have our sound person who is to start the music.
Ready for the music?
We do have one of our members with the sound person, Valencia, where a little technical difficulty. That's what I'm hearing. But we're going to get it together. So how many of you are hand dancers? Let me see by raising your hand. Okay, all right. How many of you were on the Tina Rama dance party on Wook?
Turn it up, please.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa. Feel the joy as we sing of the love togetherness can surely bring emotion. Set the table, a matter strong, thankful for the first fruits of the year. This day I light a candle just for you. Come join the party, it's a celebration. Karamu at Kwanzaa time of year. Red and yellow, black or white, your it's alright. It's a celebration that shall last throughout the year. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa. Together there is much we can do. All right. Happy Kwanzaa. Together there is so much we can do. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa. Together there is much.
Okay, hold on one second. Okay, also, Mr. Soundman, can you fade the music out? Don't just stop it. Fade it, okay? We appreciate that. That's how we roll, okay? So now, next is the bop. And the bop is a slow hand dance style performed to ballads and love songs. And the group will bop to a Motown classic, Would I Love You, by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. This is beautiful music, isn't it? Okay, if we can get you to fade. Okay. This is so beautiful. We do, we want to teach our young people to hand dance because it's a great dance. It's exercise, but, now that they're teaching it by count, it's good mathematics as well. So we hope that soon we'll have another hand dance class for youth here in Ward 8, and when we do, we'll let you all know. So next is the Birdland, and the Birdland was patterned after Peg Leg Bates, and he was a great dancer who had a wooden prosthetic leg. And so now we have Leroy and Maxine, and they're going to Birdland to High Blood Pressure by Huey Piano Smith. Maxine and Leroy are one of the legends of hand dance. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That's Leroy and Maxine. Like I said, they are legends and pioneers of hand dance. So now we have the walk. And the style is like walking while you're dancing. It's done to slow tempo music. And we have Leroy and Adrian and Marty and Maxine, and they're going to do the walk to another Smokey and the Miracles classic, You Really Got a Hold on Me. That's right. Sing if you want to. All right, I heard some singing. Yes, if you remember some of these songs, please join in. Okay, so now, this is my favorite. This is my favorite hand dance style, and it's called the skate. And it has crisscross moves like you're in a roller skating rink. And the song is Good Lovin' by Junior Walker and the All-Stars. They ready? Okay. Music maestro, please. I know they're working on it. So I had asked before, is there anyone here that was on WOOK, Tina Rama Dance Party? Did anybody dance on there here? Okay. On Channel 14. Yeah, there was an all-black teen television dance show on an all-black station before BET, and it was WOOK TV, and it was a teen dance show. And they did these dances, these hand dance style, and it was a great show. It was a great show. Okay, Valencia, are we ready? We're going to make it happen. I believe they taught hand dance here for a minute. I'm not sure if they still have classes here. Nevada was teaching the class. I'm not sure if she's still teaching it or not. She's not? Okay. Okay. Valencia? Still working on it. We're going to get it. We're going to get it. We're going to get it. I'm positive it's about positivity. Is it the device, Valencia? Okay. Okay, is it Valencia where we can go to another song? Uh-huh. Is there another skate song that you have? Oh, okay, we can go into the freestyle if you can't pull up the skate song. Okay, I can't hear her. Okay, so we're gonna go to a freestyle. So we don't want you to be shy. We want to engage you. We're gonna ask the freestyle dancers to come down. Not the freestyle. Okay, then we're gonna ask the classic hand dancers to come down and we're gonna do freestyle dancing. Just stand up where you are. Just stand up where you are. Or if you want to come on into the aisle, you can do that. And so okay, so you got the song queued up? Okay, because right now we're going to do the twist. Okay, can we get it going? All right, let's shake it up, baby, now. Twist and shout. Come on. the jerk? Okay, do we have the jerk up there? Cool jerk? Just put it on when you're ready. Oh, yeah. Exercise is good for the soul. Is try to put a cha-cha line together. Okay, so Maxine, that's on you. Maxine and Adrian, how y'all gonna put your cha-cha lines together? So you know you have two lines. One goes up and one goes back. Okay, we're gonna start the cha-cha, and then we'll just get things organized from there. Okay, so